What is up, ladies and lads? Today we're going to go ahead and look at Age of Mythology. It's basically a game about like fantasy real-time strategy, and you should probably know from the get-go that my opinion is severely biased when it comes to this game. Ever since I was a little bab, I've played this game and I've had a lot of nostalgia. I do remember once when I was a little babsy, I remember once reciting the entire opening trailer off of the top of my head. Word for word. Oh, good times. Age of Mythology is a game of heroes and monsters. Yeah. That's all. That'll be fine. Yeah, thanks. There's about 4 main ways you can play the game: single player, online multiplayer, single multiplayer, and the editor. There are a bunch of storylines that you can play through that vaguely come from, Greek, Norse and Egyptian mythology. The Greek campaign is mainly to do with Atlanteans and Greek dudes. The Norse one is to do with Ragnarok and the end of the world, and the Egyptian one is to do with some shit about Ra and shit. The single player does contain a tutorial that is suitable enough to make you, understand the majority of the game. These campaigns are relatively fun and interesting, and the difficulty does, scale up quite well. But if you play a lot of the game, it gets pretty easy. Online multiplayer was good, but most of the people used to be a bit too skilled for me. I never actually won one game, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine. Obviously, this is a pretty old game, so the chances of finding an online game is incredibly slim. But who needs people when you have a robot? Single multiplayer has you competing on a map of your choosing, or a randomized map where you pick different settings for the map. You then choose a god that you get to, pray to, or you can randomize it and get a random god out of the selection. When in the game, you can upgrade certain buildings. Upgrading your settlement allows you to access special godly powers that you can use depending on the god that you've chosen. Chosen? Is that a word? Chosen? If that was the entirety of the game, it probably wouldn't be much. At best, around 30 hours of gameplay. But due to the editor, it definitely increases the options you have for extending the time you can play the game for. For me, this is the best bit of the game. Basically, you can create your own campaign, storylines with your own missions, objectives and goals. The problem that comes with this is that there is actually no in-game tutorial for the editor, and it can be very complex to create anything using triggers and waypoints. It can take a while to master the tools. And help can be found on many different help sites and tutorial videos. However, if you can't be bothered making your own, you can just download other people's created stories. This adds potentially hundreds of hours of gameplay until you eventually get bored of playing. Although the majority of the campaign missions have unique quests, the basic run through of the game goes as follows. Town centre, couple of dudes, hit some trees, fortify little area that you have around your sphere, upgrade everything, build some buildings, level up, get godly powers, get a big army, attack other shit, mission accomplished. It's a good little game to play if you're bored sometimes and you just want to occupy your mind. It's not really, the storyline, it's interesting when you're playing it, but you don't actually give a shit about any of your characters. It's fun. I enjoy it. I personally enjoy it. It's like 20 quid. I don't know whether it should be 20 quid still. You could probably get a different price on G2A or something like on another site or something. There are expansion packs. One of my favorite expansion packs adds 3 new gods. I think they're Titans. Yeah, it's like Kronos and 2 other dudes, Gaia and some fucking dude with a beard. That is a very good expansion. But then there's a second expansion where they add Chinese or Asian gods to it, and it doesn't really add much. It's there's texture damage. You can just go on Steam's page and look at the reviews. It's completely negative, so I wouldn't recommend that extension, but I'd recommend the extended edition, which adds one of the DLCs that is actually good and gives you the full game. So at the end of the day, I would rate this probably 7, 8 out of 10. I think it's a good game. It's a good, solid game. It's a bit old. It's a bit rusty. But it does occupy your mind for a bit. That will have been my review. I'll see you later. Subscribe, because it helps me out a lot. click that little bell button next to the subscribe button if you subscribe, because then you get reminded of all my videos. Follow me on Instagram. I always do that shit on Instagram. Comment down below for a review of a thing if you want a basic review. I wouldn't recommend taking my opinion for anything, but you know, whatever. And that has been my review. Dun 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 dun. Wow wow dun 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 wow wow dun 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 wow wow. Kill me.